The release date for Naxxramas has been announced for December 3rd, and the non-raid stuff for the 1st. And so Shadowlands for November 23rd, both right near the holidays, and people are pissed. But such is the natural state of the World of Warcraft community. As you know, the game has proven itself to be extremely difficult thus far, so many people are preparing ahead of time, and in this video, I want to give you a preview of what to expect from the final phase of Classic. We'll talk about consumables, buffs, items, spell ranks. There's a lot to go over, so let's just start with the Scourge Invasion. Azeroth is under siege by the Scourge. The following zones will come under invasion by a group of undead, and if you spend some time defending them, you can acquire various rewards, such as gear, best in slot weapon stones and oils, and reputation. The mobs drop items called necrotic runes, which serve as a currency for new items. You turn them in via quests to the Argent Quartermaster in the Light's Hope Chapel. Starting with the most important here, you have new oils for spellcasters and sharpening stones for physical damage dealers. They cost 8 runes each, and these will be the best option available for the new raid, and it's a must for those precious parses. There are mini-sets that have bonuses to Undead, which are also really good. They're going to be a must for many people, so make sure you get those. A unique tabard can be purchased with 10 runes, which is important for collectors as this will be no longer available after the event's conclusion, until the Wrath of the Lich King expansion where they recreated the Scourge Invasion event, and new materials will drop from all over the game. Bone fragments, crypt fiend parts, savage fronds, and more. You can farm these and turn them into NPCs at the Light's Hope Chapel for special insignias, and you then use these insignias to complete a blue and purple tier quest, which give you the rewards that you see on screen. I'll also have these linked in the description. The amount that you need vary on both quality and your reputation with the Argent on. There are also new leg and head enchants for Shadow and Frost resistance. You turn in 10 insignias of the Crusade and 30 gold each for an enchant, with Frost in particular being more useful for Naxxramas, but both useful for PvP sets. And over in Zul'Gurub, you can also get 10 nature resist head and legs by turning in Arcanums. It's the same NPC that you turn in idols for your class quest tokens. You can also get insignias indirectly through Craftsman's Writs, which you get by turning in Argent on Valor tokens that you get from turning in those Scourge stones. You get a random quest to turn in the following trade goods for one of each token, but honestly, just looking at the prices on my server, this is going to cost you a ton of gold. Getting into the actual raid though, Naxxramas does have an Attunement quest. It is very simple. It's just a quest in the Light's Hope Chapel once more, called the Dread Citadel. You simply pay gold and high-end trade materials to gain entry, becoming cheaper the higher reputation level you have, with Exalted being free. How kind of the Argenton to charge us for saving the world, huh? After that, you'll get a simple follow-up quest to slay some mobs within Naxxramas, and as a reward, you unlock your tier 3 armor set quests. Similar to AQ, you just turn in tokens obtained from bosses, as well as armor scraps that you get from the trash, and also high-end crafting materials. Mooncloth for casters, cured rugged hide for leather, Arcanite for plate, and so on. So as you can imagine, these items saw a slight spike in price with the announcement of the release date. As I said, Naxxramas is the Frost and Shadow Resist raid, more so leaning Frost, and specifically referencing Saffron here. There's no telling how much Frost resistance players will need to beat the boss. I reckon it's going to be similar to Huhuran, where you can just sort of power through it with minimal resist, but it's important to note that there are lots of new Frost resist items that are coming with the phase. By the way, I'd just like to point out here that what you're looking at is the peak performance of vanilla raiding. It's not a true vanilla video if 80% of the screen isn't covered in a blended up mess of UI vomit. The Glacial Sad is for tailors, Icebane for blacksmiths, and Icy Scale / Polar for leatherworkers, and you learn the recipes for these items from an NPC held captive right here in the Death Knight wing of the raid. You need 300 in that profession, and also revered and exalted reputation with the Argenton before it'll teach you. You can also get the items themselves through quests, much like your tier 3 set, by turning in a book that it gives you back to Light's Hope. You can turn in a number of crafting materials, gold, and items called Frozen Runes to get the armor. Throughout the raid, you'll find these little runes hidden around. To collect them, you have to obtain an item called the Word of Thong, which drops from trash mobs. Both the Word of Thong and the runes aren't bound, so you also have the option of purchasing them from other players. Only time will tell just how much frost resistance people will need, but these items will always serve a purpose in PvP to counter bullshit frost mages that two-shot you. But speaking of overpowered, Naxxramas holds a new legendary, Attuiment, or Atish, whichever you prefer. It's a caster legendary, only available to druids, mages, warlocks, priests, and streamers. Each boss has a chance to drop splinters, which when you combine 40 of them, you assemble a frame that gives you a quest to kill Cthulhu in AQ40, and Kel'Thuzad in Naxxramas, and finally visiting Stratholme to cleanse the staff of its corruption. Just as how you saw with AQ20, various spellbooks are added to the game, and they drop either in the world, dungeons, or raids. Mages get Frost Ward 5 from the world, Conjure Food 7 from Archivist Galford in Stratholme. Shamans, thank God, don't get another Chain Lightning, but rather Flame Shock 6 from the Pyroguard Emberseer in the Upper Blackrock Spire. And Warlocks get their Shadow Ward 4 as a world drop. Rogues get Eviscerate rank 9 from Blackhand Assassins in the Blackrock Spire. And the wannabe rogues get Ferocious Bite from the Beast in the same instance. I think something we can all agree on with the game is that it's lacking the ability to buff your character out in the world. Luckily, Blizzard saw fit to remedy this with the tower system in the Eastern Plaguelands. It's pretty simple, there are 4 towers total, and for each one your faction controls, you gain a 1% damage buff to undead in the zone, and also Naxxramas, totaling 5% if you control all 4. To capture them, you simply need to be flagged and standing on top of it, and keep the progress bar firmly in control for your faction. So that's it for the most major stuff. There are a few things I didn't mention, such as Silithist, but it's really minor, and I predict that the same amount of people will be doing it in the re-release as they did in the original, which is approximately 0. But wait a second, when you turn it in, you get a 5% damage buff. Well, it's only for 30 minutes, and the Silithist is out in the open. It slows you down, and you lose it if you mount up, so I think it's safe to say that this is not part of the world buff meta. It's just too unreasonable for the classic community. But wait, my pulses are tingling. What if I have a horde friend pick up the Silithist, and then drag it to the turn-in, then I kill him, pick it up, turn it in, and then accept the summon? Ooh, my pulses are hard just thinking about it. There are also some new nature resist patterns from the Cenarian Hold and Silithus to make your Viscidus and Huhuran fights a bit easier. There's also some nature damage in Naxxramas as well, so it's worth checking out. As for what you can do to prepare, well, lots of stuff. Obviously, grinding out some Argent Dawn reputation would be beneficial. Not just for the Attunement, because honestly, with how much gold people have, that's a non-issue I think. But remember, you get that discount for the Armaments Quest, and one of them is an 18-slot bag, which I'm sure many people still need. If your guild makes use of summoning alts like mine does, getting those set up now will be beneficial. Preferably somewhere hidden on PvP servers with the whole dispelling meta will save you a lot of headaches. Warriors should consider getting Nat Pagel's Reel from Gazranka and Zul'Gurub. You use it for the 4 Horsemen fight. You need to hit your taunts in this or it's big trouble, so using it before taunting guarantees its success. For those exalted with the Warsong Gulch Battleground, some new lakes become available for you, which may be upgrades. And gathering trade materials ahead of time for your tier 3 sets will also be smart. Or maybe rather selling them to other people. Again, check out the full material list in the description. Some consumes will also have increased demand, such as Frost and Shadow Absorb potions, so something to keep in mind there. And something you can farm yourself is Stratholme Holy Water. Obtained from crates within the Stratholme dungeon, these deal some AoE damage to undead creatures at range as well, sort of like a super grenade, for only undead. It'll come in handy for sure. If you care about some random neckbeard's opinion, I do agree that with many that the release schedule is pretty dumb. I mean, we have Hearthstone stuff on November 17th, Shadowlands on November 23rd, and Phase 6 on the 1st/3rd of December. This does happen quite often between big development companies. You'll see a Call of Duty and a Battlefield release close to each other, and they try to compete for a limited player base, but it just mystifies me how and why a company would do this to themselves. They're self-cannibalizing their own player base. There are a ton of people who play both WoW Current, Classic, Hearthstone, a mix of any 2 of those, or maybe even all 3 for some. The schedule, I think, will hold back the success of all 3 of these releases. Some people will lose interest in Hearthstone faster than they would have due to Shadowlands, and some people will lose interest in Shadowlands faster than they would have due to Naxxramas, Or maybe not as many people will come to Naxxramas since they're busy with Shadowlands, and it's just a huge missed opportunity, I think, to not cover the current game's stagnation with classic content, and to not cover classic stagnation with current content. They should be symbiotic, and instead, they're directly competing against one another. At this point, I think the community as a whole just throws their hands up in the air, and any prediction or logic you'd come to expect with Blizzard is about as accurate as a magic 8-ball. But the release date is the release date. I personally think that the classic community wouldn't mind a later date. In fact, let's do a poll. Do you think it's too early, too late, or just right? Whatever happens, most importantly, just remember to have fun. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like it if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Farewell for now, mortals. We hope you enjoyed today's video. See you again soon.